Hello guys and welcome to today's Los Blancos podcast. Today we will be doing a PSG special as a result of the brilliant game we had midweek against PSG in the Champions League. So without further ado, let's get right into today's Los Blancos podcast. Okay, so today we've got the special for you of the PSG review. Now, Wednesday, midweek in the Champions League, we obviously beat PSG 3-1. It was one of the best games I've seen as a Real Madrid fan in recent years, probably the best since a couple of years ago, maybe. This is probably since one of the comebacks from Ronaldo. So as a whole, it was a terrific game to watch. It was a fantastic game, and I think not for the game itself. I think for the game itself, it wasn't exactly the most how do I say this? The most end to end, the most chance creation, the most quality in terms of what we've seen for Real Madrid over the years. But in terms of goals, in terms of spectacle, in terms of like a drama, it was one of the best. So what was the game like for you, as a whole, as the drama unfolded?
Okay, well, before I start, I must say it was an amazing game. Not just you can see the atmosphere. Of course, I wasn't there, but you can hear it from the TV screens. Of course, when I looked at many match reports, many people did say that the Bernabeu got on Real Madrid's side as soon as that first goal went in. You can hear that the tide have shifted in terms of the confidence, in terms of the mentality. So basically, Real Madrid was 2-0 down on aggregate against PSG after, I think, 60 minutes. Of course, Donnarumma made that mistake that led to Benzema scoring. And of course, when he scored, I just think that gave Madrid confidence, because they barely had, of course, Benzema had chances. He had a few shots that, could have scored, but it wasn't clear cut, And it was like the first clear cut chance of the game, and we took it, So it gave everyone confidence. It gave Madrid confidence. And of course, everything just shifted from there, and we scored two late goals. Well, not two late goals, but two goals within the 76th and 78th minute, so it was an amazing game. And of course, most Madridistas in the world are so happy about it, even I'm happy about it, as I still make simple posts about it, it's still a good moment for us, and it's hyped a lot, and that's understandable, because many of us who support Madrid always say that this is our competition. This is the competition that we are best in. And of course, if you look at the last three exits against Ajax, Chelsea, and Manchester City, it didn't feel like that. It didn't feel like this was our competition, We weren't really one of the favorites or one of the best teams, It just felt like we were another team. However, maybe this is a match that brings back the faith, Okay, well, now we can have confidence again in this competition. Yes, Ajax mullered us. Yes, Manchester City and Chelsea dominated us in the past 3 seasons. However, this is maybe the result. Of course, PSG isn't the best of teams compared to maybe Chelsea or Manchester City. However, this is maybe the result that we need for the confidence, for the players, for the fans. And so finally start saying again, yes, this is our competition. Yes, one can't really beat us in this competition without a big fight. So I definitely believe that was needed. And you know what? Maybe we may not go on to win the entire competition, of course, because we are not favorites. But it's still a moment that we needed for the season. It's still an important moment, for this young team as well.
Yeah, okay, so let's look at, let's pick apart the individual performances as well as performances in the units of the team. So let's start with the defence. I think we'll finish with the star man, Karim Benzema. So we'll start with the defence. Now, unlike other people, I don't think the defence had that bad of a day, honestly, because you can't say there's many players in world football that would be able to consistently defend against Kylian Mbappe. You know, you could say maybe Kyle Walker with his pace could be able to defend him, or maybe Virgil van Dijk, but consistently, I don't think there's many footballers in this world that can honestly keep out Kylian Mbappe, and that's something that's got to be considered when we're looking at this defence. And I think the defence didn't have that bad of a game, in my opinion, you know, because it kept to only one goal. I think it did look a bit desperate at points, but I think that's what Kylian Mbappe does to your defence. And I think, you know, Militao had a good game. I think, you know, what you've got to do to Mbappe is not let him get the ball in the first place, and I think they did that pretty well. Obviously, he was released on a few occasions, and that did happen. But all in all, I think they did well. Alaba had an exceptionally good game. His movement on the offside goal, the second offside goal for Mbappe, you know, that was exceptional. I'm not sure if you've seen that. Yeah, and I think that brilliant tackle he made on Mbappe, that inch perfect tackle when he beat Militao, and it was just him and Courtois left. He just made an inch perfect tackle on Mbappe to keep us in the game, and I think that's very good. So also Nacho's performance, it was how we would expect it to be. It was quite. What words should I use for that? It was quite solid. He was a solid performer in this game. I think, you know, going forward, he was a useful player. We'll do Carvajal in a second, but what do you make of the other three in defence?
Yeah, of course. I even liked how Nacho was high up the pitch, sometimes in possession. And when you get to Carvajal, I'll make a simple point about Nacho, but I think that they were all good and they didn't make any like silly mistakes, you know, that could have cost us, you know, compared to the PSG team. So of course, like you said, the important tackle that Alaba made on Mbappe when he was through on goal, I think Militao was a huge part in that as well. You know, so I just like how the pairing works out. You know, that's why Nacho has to be a left back. You know, because I would hate to see us break up that pairing. I think it's one of the best in Europe, and in a big game like this, I think they were so solid. You know, important challenges, and because we were exposed a lot. You know, I think that yes, Mbappe had a lot of space. However, I just think that they handled themselves really well in that important moment. Even Nacho as well. You know, first centre back who plays at left back, he had a good game as well, a solid game. Also good in possession. You know, I think I'm not sure what the score was. I think it's 1-1 when the score was 1-1 or still 1-0. I think there was a moment in the game when Nacho, Alaba, and Benzema, I think Vinicius as well, had the ball on the left channel, and they were just making some nice, neat passes. And I was like, you know what, that's good decision making. You know, so I just love how Nacho also supported the attack. You know, so yeah, the decision making is what I was impressed with, and of course the challenges, composure, you know, and of course the step up in a big game. It reminded me of some of the performances that Ramos and Varane would make in some of the past Champions Leagues.
Yeah, one thing, quick point on Nacho. I thought Nacho linked up with Vinicius quite well during this game. Do you think that Nacho and Vinicius have a better partnership, a better understanding than Ferland Mendy and Vinicius do?
Yeah, I think that's because Nacho is a bit more experienced. I remember in a few of the past matches, especially in the Champions League, when Nacho played at fullback, I think he didn't understand the fullback role. He didn't understand what positions on the field to take up an attack or what runs to make. And I remember Luka Modric in games now telling him where to go, pointing in some directions. You know, that's maybe I think 17, 18. You know, and for Nacho to make those movements. However, I think he has improved a lot, and he has learned a lot and know exactly where to go, what to make, how to help his winger. So I was really happy to see that. He is learning a lot. You're never too old to learn. And of course, I think that's due to more experience than Mendy, and of course, Mendy is a natural left back, and he should have those movements long back. But I mean, this is compliment on Nacho, So I think, he had a good partnership with Vinicius. I think that he's better at left back than right back, although he's a right footer. I think that's because he likes to come inside and link up with his teammates, So I think he's a better left back than right back. And if you look at the past performances from Nacho, it's centre back then left back is his best position.
Yeah, and it's good to know that we can trust him. But one player that we have come to not trust is Dani Carvajal. Now, we'll do the right side as a whole because another player had a disaster class on the right wing, and that was Marco Asensio. So these two... I think Dani Carvajal didn't have that bad of a game, honestly. I think, his positioning was bad on the goal, on the PSG goal, but you couldn't blame him for that because Asensio it wasn't exactly doing anything on the right wing, and it was up to him to occupy those spaces on the right. So you couldn't really blame him for that one. But Asensio, oh no, this was one of the worst performances I've seen by him in the past few years, and I think in other performances we've seen Asensio coast, really just not really do much, but in this game he was actively bad. He was like he was on the end of chances, but he was ruining them. Really, he wasn't linking up. When he tried to link up, he was often losing the ball in easy spaces. He at the start of the game he pressed, but then later on he gave up. And I just feel like this was one of the worst performances I've seen by Asensio. So, what did you make of the performance by Asensio in this game?
I was kind of upset about the situation because, of course, as you know, I messaged you when I said, Asensio said 3 to 4 years ago when Ronaldo left that there are so many other players in the team who should be taking responsibility, and because, of course, he's still young, etc. But I mean, it's 4 years later, and yes, he was injured. However, I think we can't use that as an excuse anymore. Yes, he plays well in a few La Liga matches or scores the odd amazing goal to save us. But I mean, this is the matches that he are judged on. And of course, I'm sure that we are too sensible people who talk about football, and we can acknowledge that he's a good Real Madrid player and can contribute. But of course, we have to understand that many fans in the Bernabeu, this is the matches, where they remember the most. This is the matches that they look at to judge players. For example, had Cristiano Ronaldo been scoring a lot of goals against small teams in La Liga and not performing in the Champions League, then of course, things might have been different in terms of how he was remembered. And of course, since 2014 and of course 2013. Well, maybe starting from 2013, I really think that he started turning it on against some big teams. And I'm seeing that Vinicius is starting to do that as well. We are starting to understand that he isn't doing well in the big matches, in the games where he is required to perform and, be like, for example, 6 out of 10. For the least, he is underperforming. He's barely getting into the game. He's slowing down some of the attacks. And in relation to Carvajal, I wasn't upset because he was high up the pitch. I think I was kind of upset with his decision making because he lost the ball for the goal. I'm not too sure what he tried to do, if he tried to beat the player or if he tried to make a pass and slipped and fumbled. I'm not too sure what he tried to do there, but he lost the ball for the goal. And for the Mbappe counter-attack in the second half when he scored and it was offside, he also lost the ball again. So I was kind of upset with his decision making in the final third, and I expected them to be better, and that I wasn't upset with his positioning, just his decision making. So.
Yeah, with Carvajal, I don't think he had a bad game. As you said, his decision making was poor, but when Asensio wasn't on that right wing, what else could he really do? I mean, with the decision making point as well, I don't think you can be angry at a player for trying things. Ultimately, if they're trying something, they're trying to take risks. They're trying to not play it safe, and I think Asensio was playing it safe largely during this match, which is what we didn't need. We needed to take risks, to try and score, to force a goal. Well, that's not what Asensio did whatsoever, and I think Carvajal was at least trying to make things happen. And I think with the loss of possession leading to the goal, he was trying to play it inside so he could make the run overlap. You can't blame him for trying to do that ultimately in the end, and I think he was right in trying to do that. I don't think the other option was to play it safe and go back, and I think ultimately that would have slowed possession down, and I think maybe that wouldn't have had us to maybe trying to put a bit more pressure on PSG. So ultimately, that's what my feelings are on Carvajal. But back to Asensio, obviously a couple of years ago, I remember the goal against Bayern Munich. I think it was in the 2018 against Bayern Munich in the away leg, where he turned the Bayern defense inside out and just put one into the side netting, and that was one of the best goals I've seen by him. It was one of the best goals by him in his career, which if you look back at his career, he's scored quite a few brilliant goals, and I think with it we could see all the traits that made him so good. That burst of pace that he used to have, his dribbling ability used to be very, very good, and his finishing ability used to be very, very good as well, and obviously the finishing ability has remained to be that good, but the dribbling's gone. I don't know where that's gone. He's only 25. That shouldn't have just disappeared. The pace is just completely gone. You can see that with Hazard now as well. The pace is completely gone. You can't really blame Hazard because he's had multiple injuries and he's 30. But back to Asensio, he can't create chances anymore. I don't know what's happened there. And I just don't see this guy. This guy is not a winger. At the start of the season, we were talking about him being a centre mid, and I said, he should be playing as a centre mid because of the fact that he can make those bursts from midfield. I don't think he can do that, honestly. Watching him this season, I don't think he can do that. Every time he tries to do that, he loses possession, and I think ultimately that's the worst thing, because he's just not a winger. I don't really see where he can fit in at this point, honestly, because you can see with Rodrigo, at least he's trying to do something. You can see he's pressing. He tries a lot for the team, but with Asensio, you can't see that. You can't see him trying to make things happen. And I think with that, he is kind of very, very disappointing. So yeah, I think that is enough to be said on Asensio. But let's move on to the midfield now. The midfield too, obviously with Kroos starting, it was a bit lethargic in midfield in the first half, I think, and the first 10 minutes of the second half, up until he came off. I think it was very lethargic, and it was the same thing we pointed out last week on the podcast, how we play more dynamic without Toni Kroos. And I think as soon as Camavinga came on, we suddenly started playing with more energy, with more drive, with more dynamism in this game, and I think that was really impressive. Camavinga and Valverde both had a very, very good game. As soon as Camavinga came on, Valverde exploded and he started playing brilliantly. Modric certainly played brilliantly as well, and I think that was really, really good. So what do you make of Camavinga and Valverde's performance? We'll get onto Modric in a second as well.
Yeah, of course. Before we go on to Camavinga and Valverde, maybe Ancelotti maybe chose Toni Kroos, just have a bit of control early in the game, to have a good spell of possession, maybe. But he didn't have a bad game, of course. But yes, in relation to Camavinga and Valverde, I think Camavinga was so calm on the ball. I'm not even sure if he was playing as a defensive midfielder or as a centre midfielder pushing forward, because he wasn't acting like a defensive midfielder. I was seeing, I think what I stated in the pre-match was that if he plays defensive midfield, I would like to see Modric and Valverde dropping deep to help him out. And that's what I saw, because Modric and Valverde was so good in terms of dropping and helping Camavinga out. It didn't feel like Camavinga was an actual defensive midfielder. It felt like he was a midfielder who just had the ball to recycle the ball, bring some energy, make nice passes. So I honestly liked how Camavinga played, and I liked how Modric and Valverde made his game better. That's why, yes, his introduction changed the game, but he wasn't the best midfielder when he came on. However, his introduction enabled, Modric and Valverde to be a bit different, and of course, I think Ancelotti got the call right. Maybe we could have said he should have started the 11 that was on the pitch when we scored the 3 goals. Maybe should have been the 11 that started. But you never know how these games can turn out. And of course, I guess even if the 11 that started wasn't the best 11, Ancelotti eventually got it right in terms of the substitutions and the tactical tweaks after the substitution.
Yeah, with Camavinga as well, I think we're starting to see him develop, and this is what I said a couple of weeks ago on the podcast after the Rayo Vallecano game. I believe he should be a 1 in 3 player, and now we're starting to see all those games being lumped into together, and we can see these performances coming through as such a good midfielder. And I think this guy, he is generational, and this is the reason why he was hyped up so much at Rennes. He is so good at just being so calm and composed, and this guy is way ahead of this age, and you can see that with these young midfielders who are so good on the ball. You can see it with Jude Bellingham as well. As an example, he is so calm and composed on the ball. It isn't phased by the big midfielders on the other half of the pitch. Marco Verratti, he was constantly trying to press Camavinga, couldn't get anywhere near him, and I think this guy is so ahead of his age, and I think with the total midfield, I think Camavinga was deployed as that defensive midfielder, but I think because of all three midfielders having such a brilliant game, they were so fluid, they were just rotating with each other, and that's the sign of a good understanding of that midfield. And I think if that's the case, those three midfielders, they could carry us into next season. I'm not saying ditch Toni Kroos, but those three midfielders may have to be the main options, as well as obviously Casemiro as well. But I think those three midfielders got such a good understanding with each other, and I really hope to see Valverde and Camavinga starting to forge a bit more of a partnership. I think that should be considered with Carlo coming into the next game against Mallorca on Monday night. So I think that should be considered, but. Obviously, I think these three are so good. So I think they have to start forging this partnership, because you can see where it's heading, and that's heading into a world class midfield partnership. And I think that's what they have to do. So we should move on to the forwards now. We've obviously talked about Asensio, but I think it's time to talk about the other two Brazilians in the team, Rodrigo and Vinicius Junior, and I think these two were immense on Wednesday night. I think Rodrigo, when he came on, he applied pressure. He was so energetic at right wing, and I think it was refreshing to have him there. Nuno Mendes had a difficult game as soon as he came on. Up until then, he didn't really have anyone to mark, because Asensio just kept on going in and really didn't do much. And I think that really caused Nuno Mendes a bit of a problem, as well as the fact that Vinicius Junior, he was just such a nightmare for Hakimi. There was a good battle between both of them. Hakimi did have some good moments himself, but I think Vinicius did largely have the rub of the green, and I think that was so good to see from Vinicius Junior. So what did you make of their performances?
Okay, starting from Rodrigo, I would say that yes, he can come on and he can definitely change a game. However, when he comes on, I would like to see him come on for the amount of time he got last week, not last week, earlier this week against PSG. 30 minutes, a bit more than 30 minutes to make an impact. Because he is full of energy, and of course I think he won the ball for the counter attack. Well, he assisted Benzema, not Benzema, I'm not too sure who helped him. I had to look at so many angles for the third goal, and when we pressured and we won the ball immediately, like 3 seconds after PSG kicked off. Also, he was one of the players who pressured, and of course, I'm sure you didn't see it as well because, of course, the screen didn't even have time to switch for us to see. But when I saw it from another angle, from a fan's perspective, he was one of the players who pressured the ball, leading to the counter attack, and he makes so much right decisions. I think Rodrigo is the player from Madrid who can perform in big games and he can make the right decisions on the ball. Earlier this season against Barcelona, he assisted the goals for Alaba. He made the ball to Vinicius. He worked so hard. He causes problems. I think he should definitely be next season. After Vinicius and Mbappe on the wings, he should be the next player off the bench, in my opinion, because he is making steps forward. And I would like to see more of Rodrigo, to be honest, because he can definitely impact exactly how this team played, the energy, and maybe if he had played from the start, maybe it would have been easier for Carvajal, of course, because Asensio struggled, and of course, Rodrigo works harder. And as of now, I would normally say Asensio is a better technical player, but it seems like maybe Rodrigo is starting to get one over him there. And in relation to Vinicius, what I like most about him is, of course, what everyone likes most about him. There were moments he had 7 out of 14 successful dribbles, and that means he failed on half of the occasions. But someone did say in the post-match, what we like about him is that even if he fails, he just keeps going over and over and over and over again, and he will eventually get it right. In the past, you can see that maybe he was a bit short on confidence, to maybe try again. This season, he keeps getting up and going over and over again. He isn't stopping. No matter what, he is going to get up and he's going to go at you when he has the opportunity to. And he is so fast and it's a weapon that should be utilized. And yes, he missed a chance. Yes, he fumbled on the ball when the score could have been 4-1. However, I just think that due to the fact that from minute 1 to minute 90, when Madrid had an opportunity, it wasn't really Benzema, but when they had to play someone in, it was Vinicius. And from the first minute, within the first 5 seconds, I would say Madrid tried to play Vinicius in, and that was a template for the entire game. His speed is insane, to be honest. He gives us a chance when it shouldn't be a chance. He allows Modric to make the pass a bit early, to let him get onto it. His speed is just insane. I honestly liked him a lot. I liked his performance. I'm sure many people liked his performance just due to the fact that he was just so passionate and intense. And that's the kind of players we need.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed him winding up Kimpembe at the end, towards the end anyway. It was quite funny. I don't really like Kimpembe that much. But anyway, that's enough about Kimpembe. Let's move on to the 2-star men of the game, and that was Karim Benzema and Luka Modric. Now these two were absolutely immense. We'll start with Luka Modric because he was just fantastic, and I think this guy's eternal in terms of his performances. 37 years of age, and he's still doing this. He is just very, very, very good. And I don't understand how he hasn't got that contract extension yet. But the way he was just everywhere at once, at how old he is. He was playing like he was 26. Honestly, he was he was honestly so he was everywhere, and he was on the ball. He was so confident, so brilliant. He was just there is no words to describe it, because he was just brilliant as a whole. And I think with his performance, that second goal where he just dribbled through the whole of PSG's midfield. Obviously, it was a mistake on PSG's part to not bring him down, but the pass he played after that was exceptional. Most midfielders would fail that pass because of the energy they would have taken up dribbling that far. And obviously, he finished off that pass as well with a brilliant vision to find Benzema in that pass. And I think as soon as Kroos came off, who had to pass? Who had to be the passing outlet in that team? Luka Modric. Who had to be the most dynamic player in that team? Luka Modric. Who had to be the tackler of that team? Luka Modric. And I think that this just shows that this guy is just he can keep going for the 2 or 3 more years. I believe he can, because this guy is so smart. He knows what to do. He knows how to play. He knows exactly what to do in these big games. He has the experience, and I think it was just fantastic from Luka Modric. So what do you make of Luka Modric's performance?
Yeah, of course. I think you basically touched on basically everything that I wanted to say about him, because of course he was so amazing well, not on yesterday, but a few days ago. One of the best players on the pitch, and of course without him, I don't think that maybe we would have won that game. And not just because other players weren't good, but he was on another level. He played with so much intensity, and due to that passion and desire, things started to click for him. There isn't anything that you touched on that I have to add. However, I must say that we have to manage him just like we would manage Cristiano Ronaldo in the past for big games in the last few years under Zidane. I just think that Luka Modric is good when he plays back-to-back matches. He can build up, just like what Cristiano would do in the past. He had missed one game. However, before the big Champions League night in La Liga, Cristiano was always there, was always playing, and I think that's because he has Zidane listed him the week before or during the midweek. Just to let him build up his confidence, score a few goals, and get back on track if he isn't in form. I think that's what we should do with Modric. Yes, we should have him. However, I think he's different to Casemiro and Toni Kroos. I think he's a player who needs to be playing back-to-back matches. However, his minutes still need to be managed. So I just think that he needs to build up a bit of momentum, etc. So yes, we would like him to start and be rested. But I think that he should play back-to-back games, because I just think that his playing style is so different to Kroos and Modric. That he needs back-to-back games to build up a bit, then have the best game of his life, then be rested after that, or play then rested. However, he needs to play back-to-back matches when it's important, because that's which was utilized for Cristiano in the past, and it works so well, in terms of building momentum and building intensity. And I think when Modric said in the past, last year, that he has to keep playing to do well, I think that's what he means. He needs to start, he needs to build up and build up momentum in the games prior to have the best game. And I think that's what we should utilize for Modric. So he is one of the most important players. So we should definitely treat him like how we treated Ronaldo in the past, so that to ensure that he's 100% in big games, because even at 36, he's our best midfielder. So we have to make sure that whatever team we play, he is there starting in the big games.
Yeah, and we've got to. It's up to Carlo to keep him fresh. We've talked about how the fact that he needs to be fresh, and I think he needs to be match fit for these games. You've got to have him ready. You've got to have him perfect for these games. And you saw against Chelsea last year, we always use this example. He wasn't exactly that, because he was overrun in that midfield because of being being overused too much, and I think he needs to play the game before, like you said. But if that's so, he needs to miss the game before that. So yeah, that you made a good point there. But now we've got to move on to the star man of the performance, Karim Benzema. 3 goals against PSG. This guy, amazing. He is just there are no words to sum up the performance of this man. The instinctive finishing, that third goal, that just outside the boot, how you can do that is just fantastic. If I tried to do that, I would roll over my ankles. It was just fantastic from Benzema, and it was like the pressing. He pressed Donnarumma for that first goal. Obviously, there was deliberation over whether it was a foul, but I'd rather look at is that it was a difficult finish in the end, because Donnarumma had got back up and had got back in goal, and if he'd lent back that ever so slightly, Donnarumma would have got that, and that's why I just think this guy is so good. And obviously with the second goal, obviously he had to make that movement for Modric to make the pass, and I think his timing on that goal was fantastic. The movement was fantastic, and I think his understanding of Vinicius is anything a Real Madrid fan could ask for. And I think this guy just gets better with age, and this is why I think personally he is the best number 9 in the world, because these performances in big games, you don't get this normally from any other striker in this world. And I think personally I'd rather have Benzema over Lewandowski. I know Lewandowski scores a lot of goals, more than Benzema, but Benzema is just, he is just fantastic. And I think if you put Benzema in that Bayern team, Benzema scores an additional 20 goals a season. So what did you make of Benzema's performance?
Yeah, and of course, and that's because Benzema plays so different to Lewandowski, sometimes like a number 10. So yeah, that's why maybe Lewandowski scores more. But Benzema, before I get to Benzema, PSG cannot complain that Benzema scored 3 goals, because the warning signs was there. They had 4 Benzema chances, that was so close to going in. And I'm sure that maybe if someone like Sergio Ramos was playing, he would have said, you know what, this guy had 4 chances against us and he nearly scored. We have to do something, maybe mark him, mark him, get him out of the game, because the warning sign was there. And PSG didn't, adhere to it, and of course they were punished. He said the first goal he pressured well. The second one, that it was good movement. He knew when to make the run. And for the third goal, the third goal is not how they would teach us to shoot when we're playing football. But to the fact that where he knows exactly the technique to utilize, to pass the ball into the corner of the net, only a natural finisher and a natural footballer who has good technique and good understanding of the ball, how to kick it, how the ball will move after you kick the ball. And we underestimate these things so much, but for the third goal, it's not a natural shooting position, but to the fact where Benzema knows this is what I have to use to get the ball into the corner. This is the best technique to execute this goal, and he thought of that so quickly in his mind, to execute that. I think that's why it was the best goal. So yeah, definitely Benzema's goals was amazing. However, PSG had so much warning signs, so much opportunities, to, I don't know, try to mark him out of the game. I don't know, but the warning signs was there, and we conceded. If, for example, we concede a goal like that to Robert Lewandowski after he had so many chances to score, I'd be upset with the defense. So as much as we are happy that Benzema scored, I think that our defense should use that as maybe a template, how not to defend. If you've seen a striker, building up confidence, getting those chances, of course he's going to score at least 1, and therefore within 3 goals, and maybe that's on them, But for Benzema to capitalize on all these chances, it just shows how much of a goal-scoring machine he has become. To the fact that when he has the ball and he has a shot, he knows an opportunity. Even when we were launching crosses, he got onto 3 of them, I think. and he seems like he shoots from anywhere now, similar to Ronaldo in the past. Not just shoot from anywhere, of course, it's calculated, but most of our shots come from Benzema, and why not? Because he is the best at it. So, yeah, why not?
Okay, so before we move on to the final bit of this part of this podcast, what do you think? Well, we'll start with Mbappe. Obviously, just very quickly, what do you think this does to the chances of Mbappe's renewal? Just quickly, in under a minute, maybe.
I would say that it was maybe at 60% that he signed 60 to 70. But now I think it's 90 to 95, and I'm not confident because not just because many reliable journalists have said that that's the case now, but logically, Mbappe would want to come to Madrid. Maybe the PSG project is a bit over because, as you can see after the match, many reports and fans are stating that Al-Khelafi, Leonardo, Pochettino might all leave. Maybe PSG might have to rebuild again, and why would he want to stay for another rebuild? The project was to win immediately with him, Neymar, Messi, all these guys. So why would he want to stay for another rebuild? He wants something different. He wants a new chapter, and of course, I think after that loss, it emphasizes it. I think that it just made him understand. That what. This isn't maybe the right club for me if I would like to take my career to the next level. And maybe, yes, he might win a lot of trophies in France, but of course he maybe wants to win a different set of trophies in Spain. And of course he would believe now that in the Champions League, Real Madrid are better suited to win. And of course, I must admit, in the last 3 seasons, PSG was obviously more suited to win the Champions League than us. We weren't at our best. But I hope this game can turn the tide. I hope this game can, help Real Madrid understand, like I said in the past, at the start of the podcast, this didn't feel like our competition in the last 3 seasons. However, now, after this game, hopefully it gives our team more confidence, after how the last few exits was. So this is a game where, can steal the Mbappe signing, and of course gives the team more confident in this competition, because I think people will forget this is a young team with Vinicius starting up top. Rodrigo should start more often. Valverde, Camavinga, Eder, Militao, Alaba, Mendy, even Courtois. This is a new team compared to the 17-18 season, the 16-17, 15-16. Many people will say, oh yeah, Real Madrid have a lot of old players in this team, but it's a new team. It's just old players like Modric are key and important. Who wouldn't want to have them in their team? This isn't an old team, it's a new team. And this win was so important to that. And it's feeling like, yes, we can be a key player in the Champions League once again. And since the Ajax lost, I haven't felt like that. But it was really tough, for me to look at some of the Champions League games in the past. But now, after this game, it gives me a bit more confidence. And even if let's just say we gets knocked out, let's say to Bayern Munich next game, I really hope that the performance is actually good. I really hope that it's worthy of we go on fighting instead of just being knocked out like in the last few Champions League editions. So like just to conclude, I'm sure Mbappe felt like that as well. So I'm sure that would give him the confidence, to come into this team, because I'm sure he can see what we're building and we're almost there, and he will be the final touches to it. And I'm sure he is seeing that. I'm sure he's seen us make steps forward, and he knows that this is the right team, because he knows that that's the competition he wants to win. And Real Madrid is starting to take over the competition again in terms of mentally, and I hope that win on Wednesday contributes to that.
Yeah. Okay. So finally, as a finish to this podcast, we'll just look at every team left in the draw, give them a rating out of 10. 1 being, I really don't want this team, and 10 being, please give me this team right now. Obviously, not all the teams have been confirmed, but we're just going to look at the teams left in the competition. So the teams left are Bayern Munich, Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Lille, Manchester United, Ajax, Benfica, Juventus, and Villarreal. So just give me the rating and a sentence. We'll start with Bayern. What's your rating?
So one being repeat the scale.
1 is I don't want this team whatsoever, and 10 is give me this team right now.
Okay.
Okay,
With
so
Bayern Munich,
what have you got given Bayern?
with Bayern Munich, I would say maybe 5 because I would try to avoid Bayern Munich. However, I would prefer to play Bayern Munich over Chelsea or Liverpool. That's why it's a bit higher than normally 2 or 3. But however, I prefer not Chelsea, Manchester City or Liverpool. I prefer to play Bayern over Manchester City or Liverpool. So that's why they're at 5 because they had some flaws this season and we can exploit them. We as well, but of course.
I've gone very different from you. I've gone for a 1 for Bayern. For me, I feel like Bayern are the only team in this draw where I feel like they could absolutely batter us. They are the only team in the world that could actually batter us. And when I say batter, I mean like 3 or 4 maybe, but not exactly the 8s who like Barcelona, but not exactly. They could comfortably beat us. So it's probably a better word to use. But I do think we can beat Bayern. So maybe I'll put a 2 there. So Manchester City. What have you gone for City?
This is a team that I don't want. I don't think that we are ready to play Manchester City. At this time, I prefer Manchester City play a team like Liverpool and they knock out each other. So for this one, I'd go 2. That doesn't mean that I don't think we can't beat Manchester City. One of the perks about getting them is that they don't have a natural striker. Jesus, but they don't have a natural striker that, for example, like a Lewandowski or like a Benzema, so I would say, we can beat them and we can hold them because of that. However, I would try to avoid them, so I'll go for 2.
I've gone for a 2 as well. I think out of the teams left, I just don't think we can beat City. I think we can beat every other team in the draw, but I don't think we can beat City, honestly, because I think they are just that level above us at this moment in time. So let's move on to the next team, Liverpool. What have you gone for Liverpool?
I've gone for 2 as well. Yes, we beat them last season. However, I've been seeing the attack lately and the amount of options they have in attack, and of course Van Dijk is back as well compared to last season. It would be a much tougher game. I would say that they are more difficult opposition than Manchester City, but of course I'm not scared of them, so I wouldn't say 1. I would still stick with 2. Because of course Luis Diaz looks like he is picking up from Jota. He can score goals. Salah, of course, Mane. So they can order the team. I would much prefer defend against Mahrez, Kevin De Bruyne, Sterling, Jack Grealish, Phil Foden over those Liverpool front line because they're all goal scorers, and of course we can be hurt badly by that.
Yeah, personally, I've given Liverpool a 5. I think we can beat Liverpool. Honestly, last year we saw we can beat Liverpool. Obviously, they've got Van Dijk now, but I do think that Real Madrid can beat Liverpool, and Vinicius has improved dramatically since last year. And we remember last year's Vinicius performance. I do think we can beat Liverpool. Equally, I do think Liverpool can beat us. So, I do think it's more of a 50-50. I'm not as scared of Liverpool as I am of Manchester City at this moment in time. I think they are on equal pavement, but I think there is just something about Liverpool that I think is just a level below Manchester City at this time for us anyway. So Chelsea next. We played them last year. What have you given them?
I'd go for 6 this time. I think they're not the same team from last year. The defense, yes, it's still solid, but it's leaking a bit more goals. So I'd go for 6. Of course, I'd prefer to play an easier team than them. However, if you ask me between Bayern, Liverpool and Manchester City, I take Chelsea. So I'd go for 6, and of course they're not scoring as much goals as we thought that they would when they signed Lukaku. So I'd go for 6.
Yeah, I've gone for a 6 as well, but for exactly the same reasons. So next, Lille. What have you given Lille?
Well, of course, I think Chelsea might beat Lille, but however, in the odd case that Lille does beat them, I would go for a 9. I think they'll be one of the easier teams in that competition if we play them. I don't really watch much of French football this season, but I've heard that they have dropped off since their title win last year, and I've heard they lost a lot of key players as well. So I'd go for a 9, to be honest.
Yeah,
Well,
I
10, 9.
100% agree. I think Lille are the worst team left in the draw. Gone for a 9 as well. But if I could give point decimals, I would give them 9.5. Honestly. So next, Manchester United. What have you given Manchester United?
I'll go for 8 because I would prefer play Manchester United over Ajax. However, I wouldn't want a loss to Manchester United. That would be a difficult, stomach if we lost to Manchester United. Of course, it would be good to play against Cristiano Ronaldo. We haven't played against him since he left. It would be a good moment to play against him. But I'll go for 8 or 7 because we are the better team than Manchester. However, I wouldn't want to. Maybe there'll be too many storylines that I wouldn't want too much focus on it. But however, we live for big moments in the Champions League, big storylines, headlines. So yeah, I would like to play Manchester United, and we are the better team. I'd go for 8, and I definitely believe that Valverde, Modric, Cruz, all of them would just dominate Manchester's midfield.
Yeah.
So.
I 100% agree. So another 8 for me. Another equal agreement there. Ajax next. I've gone for a 5 for Ajax here.
I would go for maybe a 7 because I would prefer play Ajax over Chelsea and all the other big teams that we mentioned earlier. But yes, they are a big team, and yes, they have shown this season that they can definitely turn it on. However, we are better than them now compared to when we lost to them in the 18-19 season. We are better now, and of course, we are more versatile. We played a bit more intensity and in the last 2 games, and maybe Ancelotti might see that and utilize that against Ajax. So I will go for this time a 7, and that's because I chose 6 for Chelsea. And of course, I prefer play Ajax over Chelsea, so I'd go for 7.
Yeah, I've gone for a 5 because it's unexpected. Ajax is just, you don't know what to expect from them. As a team, we don't really know much what to expect because obviously they dominate the Eredivisie. They've scored something ridiculous like 60 something goals in 20 something games, and they've only conceded 5 goals this season, which is absolutely ridiculous. But that isn't the Eredivisie, which they dominate, and we just don't know enough about Ajax, as well as the fact that it brings too many bad memories. I just can't get that out of my head when I picked 5 for this one. So next, Benfica. I've gone for a 9 here.
Yeah, definitely. I think that they will be knocked out by Ajax, however, in the odd case that they do advance, I'd go for 9.
Yeah, same reasons as you. So next, Atleti. I've gone for an 8 for Atleti. I just think we can beat Atleti pretty easily.
Yeah, of course. This isn't the same Atleti from before the past editions of the Champions League, even in the league as well. So we beat them easier earlier this season as well. So yeah, I would go for 8, just like you, 8.5.
Yeah, okay, so let's move on to Juve. I've gone for an 8 for Juve, but I think Dusan Vlahovic would put that down to 7.5. What have you gone for Juve?
Yeah, I was thinking that. I'm thinking that they have taken a few steps forward since the end of December. They have been winning some games. I don't think they have lost since the new year. Since January, I think. I'm not too sure about that, but they have been better this year. Of course, Dusan Vlahovic just came in and he's scoring goals. However, I would go with 7. I think that maybe they're on the same level. I would say between Chelsea and Ajax, maybe on Ajax's level, I'd go for 7. I think 7 is fair enough.
I think that personally, I think they're in between Ajax and United. I think they're in that between that bracket, but I do think that we have a better mentality than Juve. I think we would beat Juve if we came up against them. And then lastly, Villarreal. Now, I've given Villarreal a 7, only because we've struggled to beat them in the last few games. I just don't know why we can't beat them, but I've given them a 7.
I mean, we couldn't beat them because Villarreal started pressing, like insane people under Emery. Emery is the coach now?
Yeah, Emery is the coach.
Yeah, they're just running all over the field. And of course, we couldn't cope with that. So I think that maybe we can cope with it a bit better now, I assume. But I think I would much prefer play a La Liga team in the Champions League than a foreign team, because I think we understand how to beat them. So I would go for 8.5, because of course I prefer Lille and Benfica over them, and I chose 9 for them. However, I think that they are a bit better than Lille. However, teams like Manchester United and of course Ajax are better than them. So I like playing La Liga opposition, because I believe that we would be favorites to beat them in the Champions League.
Yeah, we've drawn 2 0-0s against them. I just feel that's the only reason why I've given them a 7. So that's it for today's Los Blancos podcast. We've obviously done the PSG specialist. It's been absolutely fantastic. Obviously, we play Mallorca tomorrow, late night. I can't remember the last time we played a team on Monday night. So that should be exciting. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.